Hi guys, this is Katie and today I'm going to talk to you about the cost of travel in London. So London is a fantastic place to explore. It is my home and I absolutely love everything there is to do with London, but it can be expensive. So today we're going to break down the cost of attractions, hotels, transport for every single budget so that you can plan your trip without spending too much money. So firstly, let's look at accommodation. London is full of accommodation for all types of travellers, but my best tip for booking accommodation is to book as early as you can. London is the type of city that those prices will rise the nearer to your arrival time. So if you're a budget traveller, you're going to want to look at hostels. There are lots of really great hostels in London. For a dorm bed, you're looking for about £25 a night. And if you're looking for a private room, you can expect to pay about £50 in a hostel. Some top rated hostels include the Barmy Badgers Backpacker, the Astor Hyde Park, and the Wombat City Hostel. For those of you who are looking more for a hotel room, but you're still on a budget, you can expect to pay anywhere between £50 and £150 a night. My best advice is to look for the chain hotels. Now the UK have a lot of different types of chain hotels, Travelodge, Premier Inn, Ibis. Look for those types of hotels in London. Make sure you check their reviews on TripAdvisor. They have certain expectations. You can expect it to be clean, you can expect it to be comfortable, and the prices will be a lot less than those independent hotels around the city. Another really popular option if you are in London for some time is to rent an apartment. Now you can use websites like Airbnb. Agoda have a really great section called Agoda Homes, and you can rent an apartment or even a room in someone else's apartment to stay in for your extended time. You can expect to pay anywhere between £70 and £150 depending on the location. So location's everything in London. If you're near an underground station, if you're in that central zone, you will be paying more. So my best advice is to make sure you are near an underground station but look slightly further out of the city centre to get some better deals. However, if you are looking for a luxury stay, you can find lots of beautiful luxurious hotels around London. These often start at around about £200 but can go all the way up to £700-800 depending on where you are, what the hotel is, what your view is. All of this information is available on our website, by the way, at creativetravelguide.com, and on that post I've also included some examples for each of those tiers of accommodation. So if you're not sure where to stay, go over to our website and check that out. There are lots of different hotel reviews on there. There's lots of information about different hotels to stay in. And don't forget, if you're booking last minute, make sure you check out our last video about booking last minute hotels. This is a great way to save money. If you're coming to London last minute, there's some great tips over there, so make sure you check that out. Now let's talk about travel. So first of all, let's talk about travel to London. Now most people come to London by flying into one of the major airports. Now this is probably the easiest convenient way to get to London, and realistically it can probably be one of the most cheapest ways because lots of different companies will offer great sales, especially if you're looking around Christmas time, like those Boxing Day sales. Now the main airports in London are London Heathrow and London Gatwick, both of which are about half an hour to 45 minutes away from the city centre. If you are coming to those airports, avoid the express trains. Now both of those airports will have an express option that you can get to get into London. Don't bother getting those, just get the normal train. It will take an extra 10 to 20 minutes, but it will be like half the price. Those trains from Heathrow and Gatwick cost anywhere between £10 to £25 depending on what time of day, whether you're catching the express train. My best advice is to try and book your train in advance, even though you don't always know what time you're going to arrive. If you book an open ticket, so not on a specific train, then you can get yourself some really good deals. Other options when you're looking at flights is to look at London Stansted and Luton Airport. Now these are much smaller airports. It's not as convenient to get into the city from. However, you can often find some really good deals to these airports, especially if you're traveling from somewhere else in Europe. So now let's talk about transport once you are in London. Now the easiest, most convenient way to get around London is using the London Underground. This is a very popular option for locals and for tourists, so make sure you pick up yourself an Oyster card. Now when you use the London Underground, you can just get yourself a single ticket for one ride. A single ticket is going to cost you £4.90, which I can tell you is a lot for that journey. Now what you can do is you can get yourself an Oyster card and this price will jump down to £2.90. So every trip you take is going to cost you £2.90 across London. So by the way, what the Oyster card is a refillable travel card. So you can go to a local train station or an underground station and pick up a Oyster card from there. It is basically a card. They normally ask for £5–10 to put on it straight away, but you can top it up at different underground stations as you travel. You can also top it up using your phone, or if you have a contactless card, you can use that as an Oyster card as well. And you can use these Oyster cards on the buses around London and some of the ferries as well. Now, another option to get around London is the red buses. Like I said, get yourself an Oyster card or a contactless card and jump on a bus. It is not as easy, like I personally don't find it as easy to navigate as the underground, but it is a great option, especially if you want to go to somewhere where the underground doesn't take you directly to. And another option for travel around London is the black cabs. Now, these are taxis, they take you around the whole of London. Prices start at around about £6, but I would avoid them. So for a few reasons. First of all, there is so much traffic in London, especially in the city centre. You're going to get into a cab, it's going to charge you a fortune because you're going to sit in traffic. So my only advice for using these is if you are travelling to somewhere and the underground station is like a 10-minute walk and you're with someone that can't really walk that distance or whatever, get yourself to the nearest underground and then get yourself a cab, because otherwise it's going to be extortionate if you try to get from one side of the city to another. My other tip for getting black cabs is to try and get them further away from tourist areas. If you're in a tourist area like Covent Garden or Oxford Street, often the black cabs will try to charge you without using the meter. It's not great, it's not fun, just avoid them. Next, let's talk about food. Now, you can get all different types of breakfast in London. Who doesn't want a traditional English breakfast to start their day? If you are in a hotel, especially one of these chain hotels, you can get yourself either a free breakfast. A lot of hostels will give you a free continental breakfast. It would be quite basic and simple, but it definitely saves you money. If you are in a chain hotel like Travelodge or Premier Inn, they will often give you a buffet breakfast option where you can pay £5–6 extra for that buffet breakfast. Or if you are staying near a bar or a pub like Witherspoons, head there for breakfast because they have a really big breakfast selection and you'll be able to get yourself a really decent hearty breakfast for less than £6–7. So make sure you head to those types of places as well, especially if you're on a budget. Alternatively, if a pub breakfast isn't for you, head to one of the local cafes. You can get yourself a breakfast for anywhere between £4–6, or you can pick up some bakery items at a local bakery if there's one near where you're staying, or you can head to somewhere like Sainsbury's or Tesco's. They have kind of convenience stores around London that you can pick up bakery items. So a croissant or other bakery items is normally about £1, whereas a decent coffee is at least £2. Now, for lunch, there are lots of different types of options depending on your budget. Now, if you're on a tight budget, my best suggestion is to get yourself a meal deal. Now, go to somewhere like Sainsbury's or Tesco's. You can get yourself a deal where you get a sandwich or pasta, a snack and a drink, and it costs between £3–4 depending on where you're getting your food from. Another option are takeaway meals. So if you want to get yourself a Subway, want to get yourself a McDonald's, something that's not as healthy, you can expect to pay between £4–6, or you can go to one of the more local cafes and pay around about £7 for a meal as well. Alternatively, you can check out London street food. Now, this is great if you're in somewhere like London Borough Market, or if you're walking around some of the market areas, especially like in Camden. There's some great places that you can try some really nice street food. But anyway, those types of street food items are going to cost you anywhere between £5 to £10. Another tip for lunch as well is that if you want to have a sit down meal somewhere, try and look for the lunch set menus. You can often find a lunch menu in many of the restaurants around the city. If you're in a tourist area, so for example, me and my friend, whenever we go to see a show in the West End, we will always go to Covent Garden first, and there is 2 or 3 restaurants that we just love there. It is more expensive because it's in Covent Garden, but the convenience means it's okay. And we will pay between £15 to £20 for a lunch menu. If you want to save some money though, go further away from those tourist sites. So walk further away from Covent Garden or Oxford Street or Buckingham Palace. Walk away from them for about 5–10 minutes. You'll find a local restaurant that will have a lunch menu that is a lot cheaper, and you can expect to pay between £10 to £15 for that. And now let's talk about dinner. Again, if you're on a really tight budget, especially if you're staying at a hostel, you'll be able to pick yourself up a meal from a convenience store and take it back to your hotel and cook it there. To be honest, that's the best way to save money if you are on a really tight budget in London, because eating out is always going to be quite a bit expensive. But if you are eating out in London and you are trying to look after how much you're spending, I would suggest to go to a local pub. Can you tell I like pubs? I don't know. But if you go to a local pub, you'll be able to try some really great local hearty food in England, and they're not going to charge the world. So you can expect to pay between £15 to £20 for a pint and a meal, depending on the location again. But make sure you try those foods out because They are really good. You can often go to a place and share a meal as well if you're on a budget, but I would definitely recommend looking for the local pubs first before you try anything else, especially if you're on a budget. And actually, let's talk about alcohol for a second. So alcohol in London is quite a bit more money than anywhere else in the UK. The cheapest prices you can expect to pay is £3.50, especially if you're in a place like a Witherspoon. But if you are in a more independent pub, especially if you're near one of the football stadiums or one of the big concert venues, you can expect to pay up to £6-7 depending on what type of drink you're getting. So, but if you're out and drinking wine, expect to pay at least £4 for a decent glass of wine, but generally they are around about £6. Other dinner options include those ethnic restaurants around the city. You can expect to pay between £12 to £18 for those types of meals, or why not head to a fish and chip place and pick up some fish and chips. These normally cost around about £6 and are amazing. If you're looking for something special, there are of course lots and lots of amazing restaurants in London, but expect to pay at least £35 a head, if not over 50, because these restaurants can be very, very expensive. And if you are going to some, make sure you book ahead, even if it's a weekday. Lastly, it's time to talk about attractions. Now, there are so many amazing things to see and do in London, and luckily for us, there are lots of great free things to do in London too. I've written a whole blog post about free things to do in London. I'll leave the link in the description below, so make sure you check that out if you are visiting London soon. But there are lots of amazing things to do in London, so let's look at the prices of some of them. So the Tower of London is iconic. I would definitely recommend visiting, but it will cost you about £27. The London Eye will give you spectacular views of the whole of the city and cost you £28. The Imperial War Museum is a fascinating place, especially if you're interested in history, and it's free. For those of you who love art, the Tate Modern is the place to go, and it is also free. Who doesn't want to be near royalty? You can go to Buckingham Palace and experience a tour inside Buckingham Palace for £23, or you can go and stand outside it, watch the changing of the guards for completely free. Another option is St Paul's Cathedral. You can go inside and explore for just £18. One of my favourite things to do in London is go to see a West End show. Now, sometimes you can get some really good deals, and in fact, I will leave some tips below on how to get some amazing deals. We've written a whole blog post about this, so make sure you check that out. And if you want to go to see the West End, factor in at least £70 for a ticket. You can get cheaper tickets, but for a good seat at a good popular show, expect to pay anywhere between £50 to £70. Sometimes if you want a seat in the stalls, expect to pay over £100. Another great thing to see is the Tower Bridge and the Victoria and Albert Museum. One last thing that I didn't want to miss out is the Warner Brothers Studio Tour. Now, I'm actually going to be doing a video very soon about tips for visiting the Warner Brothers Studio Tour, so make sure you hit subscribe to see that video when it comes up. So if you want to see how Harry Potter is made, then you can pay £47 for a ticket to this amazing studio tour. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you liked the video and you found it helpful, make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit subscribe for more travel tips and guides. Have a wonderful day, and until next time, stay creative. Bye.